Hello again, Fleet Commanders. Tiberius back with another stream for you. We'll get started here in just a second. Thank you guys for tuning in to tonight's live stream. If you're watching on YouTube, remember we live stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. So be sure to hop on over to Twitch, follow the channel there so you can get notifications when streams go live. Check out the schedule. Come on down, participate in the conversation, have a little fun. For those of you watching live, welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're just getting our miners set up now real quick. We'll talk a little bit about Faction Hunt. We'll speculate a little bit as to what we might be getting tomorrow, because it seems like that might be a different event. And then I've got a new theory about this upcoming arc, which, some people have also come to the conclusion might be likely. Seems to be the new direction that the wind is blowing on this one. So we'll also talk about a couple of little, or at least one or two little fixes and hot patches and minor little tweaks that Scopely snuck in and didn't tell anybody about. Because, they're so good with that forward communication. But all right, nothing to build, nothing going on here. So we got Faction Hunt going on today. What's in the store? What ends in an hour? I'm guessing nothing. Yep, nothing. Mycelium, don't care. It's always nice to just take a peek. Oh, the April reward pack is out. What's in this one? April chips, lots of par steel, lots of epics, lots of rares, good amount of G4. This looks about right, 3,600. I think it's about what I usually would see in here. And then there's a decent chunk of G3. Actually, this stuff looks to be slightly maybe increased this month. More speed ups and more multi-phasic credits. So that's something that they've tweaked in the last few weeks here, or last couple months rather. The amount of multi-phasic credits you get. There used to be like 1,500, and then it slowly keeps creeping up and up, so that you're getting a little more value for your money. I feel like they're also trying to encourage players to use this mechanism more, because obviously they get paid more from it. They don't have Google or Apple taking a cut. So they're certainly trying to find a better way to incentivize players to use the multiphasic store. Hey, we got a new Borg pack in the multiphasic store too. Hey, what's this? What do we got here? So we've got the standard generic officers, Pike, Kirk, Mitchell, Carroll, Crass. These are the ones who are normally in the basic pack, along with each of these three officers here. And it looks like they've replaced Nero and Gorkon and some of the other people with 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 7 this time around. So that's an interesting new pack that just came in. Okay, looks like they just added this one sometime today. Chance to pick up some extra officer shards. Thankfully, they have the eye information button here, which they don't have all the time. No Borg Barrett. What an interesting exclusion. Yeah, well, they just gave a whole bunch of shards from him away, right? In the a couple days ago. That was the cloaking or whatever. One of the solo leaderboards was giving out a whole bunch of Barrett shards, right? So now they're including ways to get the other officers. 2 is a good one also to be in here. He's actually very undervalued, but he is a very good officer, particularly for base rating, because of his captain's ability boosting cargo size. So he's boosting cargo size with 4 on the side, boosting cargo size and lending synergy. And you can really pump up your max cargo capacity onto a faction miner or an amalgam or something, and really start getting some better hauls. You partner these two up with regular Stan, who's also giving like another, whatever we got, 40%, possibly, higher or whatever. and you can really boost your cargo size. He's an undervalued officer. But this is new. I got the, and then it's all the usual stuff here. But they did say that they were going to do more of these specialized recruit packs. That's going to be their way to sort of source officers from 2021 right now. Instead of just adding them in and continuing to water down some of the pools, they were going to do some more of these limited engagements. Last month we had a next generation one, which had most of the next generation officers. They excluded data from that one. Still no reliable way to source him, other than away team missions. But interesting that they added that. Let's let everybody know about that. And maybe that'll be a preview for something that's what's to come. We have talked about April 5th being First Contact Day, right? So if they wanted to do some type of Borg arc for April, don't know that that's going to be the case. It seems more likely that it may actually be a lower decks thing. Everybody was really hoping for Deep Space Nine. Everybody was really kind of on the Deep Space Nine bandwagon that this is what we were really going to get. We needed that to save us after Ferengi. But looking back at the roadmap, what's right at the top? Below deck officers was the first thing they'd talk about. New below decks, yada yada. They go into explanation here about how they're going to apply different bonuses. And then you come down a little bit and you get to the bottom where they're talking about old and new Star Trek IPs, and they're very excited to have all these new characters. And you're like, okay, well, they could do that at any time. But if you look back at their previous roadmaps, and I almost don't want to say this because I don't want to tip them off, but if you look back at their previous roadmaps from October, how did they release stuff? Well, we've got a new PC web store, and then we're going to roll in ship cloaking, and then we're going to add a second repair queue and officer presets, and then we'll start doing these cross-server milestone events. Unless my memory is a little fuzzy, it feels like these things came out like in this exact order. And then they hinted at Deep Space Nine being in 2022. And if you go back even further to the one from March 2021, what are we going to add to the game? We're going to add away teams and a second researcher and consumable buffs through exocomps, and we're going to work on the G4 economy, which they did. But they put the away team event store, the away team store, and the building in first, and then they added the exocomp one later. So it's almost like they're putting these things on like their checklist, and they're just going down the list, checking them off. I don't know if that's the case, just how it's working out, but it's looking like what it seems. And if the first thing up on their agenda is below deck officers, well, that certainly might be a bit of a tell that we're getting below deck officers sooner rather than later. And what better way to do that than by introducing new IP content from the lower decks show? I tried to watch it. It's a little too ADD for me. Whew. Watched a couple episodes last night, just to sort of see what it was about. And man, they bounce off the walls in that show. Maybe I'm certainly not the demographic I'm sure it's targeted for. It's targeted for a little bit younger Star Trek fans, but yeah, they're definitely a lot more hyper, a lot more active. I don't know. That's where I'm leaning. What do you guys think? We think we're getting Deep Space Nine? You think we're getting lower decks? You think we're getting some type of Borg arc? I'd love to hear your thoughts. While I'm over here doing my faction hunt. All right, I guess everybody's lurking for right now, but that's cool. Just chime in when you got an idea. Just throw them out. Just shout them out when you know the answers. Maybe my first of many My Cousin Vinny references on this channel. I love that movie. Olympus thinks lower decks would make sense with their roadmap hint and the Packlet stuff they've introduced, but it feels like they would have done more PR for it. Really? You think Scopely would have done better PR? They don't even put out their own they don't even put out any of their own content. They sort of filter it out through some you know, exterior content creators. They barely put up updates on their own website about changes they made to the game in their own patches. It's not on their website half the time. They do little bug fixes and things that they don't tell anybody about. They don't even release it in game on their little message board. It's like you have it built right into the game. How hard is it to just put up a little message that says, hey, bug fix, patch, 329 or 330 or whatever it was that they did, that little update. Just put something right here, but they don't even do that. And speaking of hidden little things, yeah, speaking of hidden little things, uh, today's events revolved around station upgrades. Still have one going on, the basic one now, but then you also have the limited time, well, there were a couple of them. One of these is a station leaderboard. Let's find it. I think it's this one that just ended. Yeah, notice how low those point totals are for a station ops upgrade event? That's weird. These are always usually people in like the hundreds of thousands. What's going on there? Little thing they didn't tell you in that little patch they put in the other day. They changed the point structure so defensive platforms don't score nearly as high as they did. Defensive platforms are now pretty much the same as other buildings, and they give you the same, like 5,000 points or whatever it is, instead of the 100,000 or 150,000 points that they had been scoring. Didn't tell anybody about it. Just sort of yep, it's a change. It's out there. Uh, Ripper and some of the guys were talking about it the other day in Discord and on TJ's podcast, which I was listening to today, which is how I kind of figured it out and saw it on the Discord there. And then, they were trying to confirm with the dev team, did it actually go through? But if you look at the scores on those leaderboard, yeah, it went through. They changed the point scoring mechanism for the event and didn't tell anybody. So if you were sitting there holding on defensive platforms, or you sped up one, or decided to invest resources that you might have used somewhere else to do a defensive platform to try and win that leaderboard, you were in for a big surprise. And those are the little things that piss off the community. You have the opportunity. You have multiple platforms to put this information out ahead of time, and they're always playing catch up. But let's move on to something positive. It's Faction Hunt. And Faction Hunt's awesome. We love Faction Hunt. And I'll continue to say this. I say this all the time. No matter what faction you are currently grinding for, do all of the Faction Hunt events. You have the opportunity now over here in these little sectors that were added in the duality arc. Where are they? There we go. You've got these little invasion sectors in the Klingon space and in Romulan space where they have Klingon and Romulan hostiles. These Romulans have invaded Klingon space. The rewards are just regular stuff. There is no faction rep for these guys. So if you are grinding, if you don't want to lose Romulan rep, go kill these guys to complete your faction hunt. There are higher level systems. Now they're a little tougher than some of the regular guys to kill. The 40s are a little bit bigger and they do a little bit more damage, but you do get broken ship parts still, which are also helpful. But you can kill some of these guys to not lose rep. Same thing over here for the Klingons. You can kill these Klingon guys here and not lose rep. No reputation change on these guys. Federation's the only one you can't, but if you're trying to protect your Federation rep, well, don't kill Federation traders. Just kill the regular Federation guys. There's a pretty big difference in points. Killing a Federation guy here, I lose 4,800 for 43. Somewhere over here, I'm sure I'll find. No, looks like this system is all just explorers. Normally, traders are like 9 or 10,000 that you lose. So you're already losing about half the reputation. And then if you happen to have the exocomps, you can lower that even further. I'm currently using an exocomp to prevent my Federation rep from going down as much. And I got to kill about 80 of these guys at 14 to 15 points apiece. I need 1,200 points, so I got to kill about 80 guys at 15 points to get there. But the rewards are incredibly worth it. Because if you're looking over at the old faction hunt, which is just 1 day only, by the way, no Alliance leaderboard. Probably because we've got something else special coming tomorrow. But looking at the events, I'm getting at my ops level 43. This will obviously scale. The point total and the rewards will be very level dependent in terms of the resource that you get, and the credits and Ultra Recruit tokens as well. But Ultra Recruit tokens are phenomenal, and are going to have even more value in the game based on what they've told us about how officer sourcing is going to come out. And faction credits are always incredibly useful. You definitely need them for upgrading officers, getting officer shards, then promoting them. Incredibly handy. And ship blueprints as well. Lots of good ships that you want blueprints for. Lots of different recruit badges that you'll want to get the officers to unlock them, to continue to pull them for events, to get transporter patterns, that kind of stuff. But yeah, no Alliance leaderboard this time. Usually it's like a 2 or 3 day event. It usually was a 3-day event, and then they scaled it back to 2 the last couple of months. But they still had a 3-day leaderboard, which everybody found weird, because then, I guess you're just grinding hostiles like you normally would for whatever dailies and stuff you might be doing. For that extra day, because they didn't want to have, I guess, the events overlap directly when they were doing like Apex or something for the final 3 days of the month. But no Alliance leaderboard at all today, which is intentional. Very likely because they have something special planned for tomorrow. Tomorrow being April 1st, aka April Fool's Day, aka the day last year when we got, see if I still have some, I'm pretty sure I probably do. We got some Tribbles. Used to score in Tribble Fools event. It would be nice if it's the same if it's the same currency and you don't put out a new one. Please don't put out a new currency. I don't need any more junk in here. And it would be nice to try and be able to, cash these in for something. Whether, whatever the point totals were. 4.3 million was not like I had an abundance of stuff. I have it left over because I couldn't buy anything with it. There wasn't anything I think that cost less than that was even available to purchase. So it would be nice if they use the same currency again. I know people will start expecting that they'll bring the events around more often again, but you don't have to do that all the time. Just this once. Reuse. Don't make a new Tribble currency. Just reuse the old one from last year. It's not like, if people happen to have a whole bunch of it left over, okay, well then, kudos to them for waiting an entire year to get a better prize. Well, it's not fair. They're going to get a better prize than the people who are playing now. Well, you know what? They didn't have a prize for an entire year. If they get one more extra, you know, whatever reward pack, event store conversion, or whatever it is, one more extra officer shard or something like that, because they held on to a couple million of these tribbles. I think like even like one officer shard last year was like 5 million or something. So you couldn't even get that with. It's not like everybody's going to have a huge payday out of it. So, but we can cross our fingers and we can hope, right? Tribble fools. We'll all be the fools tomorrow when we're expecting a cool event. And people were. I saw people joking in. I think it was on Discord. They were joking that yeah, the April Fool's event is going to be more Ferengi mining. It's like you thought you were getting something cool, but you're just going to do more mining for the mining concentrated latinum with the Ferengi officers again. It's like, haha, no more mining. Please, no more mining. But maybe, maybe we'll get something. Hopefully, we'll get something cool tomorrow. It's a Friday, right? We like Fridays. Good way to start the weekend with a cool event. Kind of start building up the hype and excitement as we roll into a new month and we roll into a new story arc. Chance to get a little PR boost. And it was intentional. They didn't accidentally screw it up. The moderators on the official Discord channel did confirm. It wasn't like they just forgot to start the event. It was deliberate, which definitely lends the fact that we had Faction Hunt today. We'll have April Fool's event tomorrow, and then we'll have 3 days before the next arc starts. So if it was whether it's Borg or Apex for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, we've done Apex I think the last 2 months in a row. So maybe they mix it up, especially with it being April. April has been kind of a Borg month. We already talked about April 5th being First Contact. So there's a tie-in there. Now we're looking in the multiphasic store, and it has the new Borg pack, which is a little tempting. What's the payouts in this? 12 shards, 50-50 between rares and epics. So 5 to 6 epic shards, 6 to 7 rare shards, because even though it's a 50-50 split, it's probably still slightly weighted behind the scenes. You got a 5% chance to receive enough to unlock one of these officers as well. So whatever their base cost is, which is like 38 for these guys and like 100 for the epics. But it's these guys that bother me. Like all these guys in here that are just dead space. This is just transporter patterns that I'm converting multi-phasic credits for. That I think they'll keep me from stopping it. None of these guys are a real need. Like I have them all unlocked, and they're all pretty far away from tiering up. If any of them were like really close, maybe I'd go for it. But these guys are all pretty far away, so not necessarily a great value for me. But as I was saying with Faction Hunt, which does have great value, there's more Ultra Recruit tokens. The other pack that they had in the Recruit, which is, it is still up, the PvP Recruit pack here. So you got your regular Ultra Recruits, which have plenty of good officers, both rare and epic, but getting a little inflated, overinflated with the amount of officers that are in here, making it a little hard to single in on the one that you want. So you've got these little more narrow one, which has a little bit more focus on the TNG crew. You've got a couple of TNG officers here with Kirk and Spock, and then the uncommons, or the rares rather, here, and Uhura over here. But again, you see how they just sort of overwrote a few particular officers and replaced them and left these guys. But we've got also Wharf and Seela shards in here as well. So they have talked about this mechanic. What did they do for April Fools last year? I forget. It was a Tribble event. You had to go around and do little things to get these Tribbles used to score in Tribble Fools event. And then there was some way like you could like gamble your Tribbles. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but I know that there was a way where when you were cashing them in, because you had the Tribbles and then you had to cash them in to uh, convert them into like the credits that you could then use in the store. And it was more of a like, do you want to open this little lower cost box, which has some guaranteed Tribbles in it, but could have a higher amount in it? Um, it could also have more box pulls, or or do you want to go for the higher risk one, which has like really huge amounts, but could also have like one? So the swings were a lot bigger. It was a lot more high risk, high reward in the conversion. So depending on which boxes you picked, the Scopely RNG was either kind to you or not kind to you. But they did talk about, again, for officer sourcing with these Ultra Recruit packs, that we're probably going to see more of these, and these will be ways to source officers. This month it was TOS crew. The TNG guys in March were in the multiphasic store. Now we've got Borg in the multiphasic store. This pack might become a TNG pack. Maybe they'll just sort of rotate them ahead of time. Give you an opportunity to use your multiphasic credits, and then if you don't like that, well, here's some Ultra Recruit tokens. I don't know if that's their pattern and their formula. It's a little too soon to tell. But it's a decent strategy. A good way to put some more content into the game. Good way to source some of these officers that you don't have a way to get. But back to my point about Faction Hunt, doing all the events, because in addition to, whatever uncommon reward you get here, you also get large amounts of Ultra Recruit tokens. So I get 760 plus about another 760 from actually probably more than that, 200, that's 450, 750, 830, 1590. So just under 1600 is what we're getting per event. So definitely worth doing all of them. Get those Ultra Recruit tokens, hold on to them, because whether it's an officer leaderboard, a regular recruit officer event, or they bring back these older officers that may be harder to source in other packs. Maybe we'll see the Borg officers come in that way. Probably how we're going to see in a couple months the Ferengi officers possibly come back in that way. And since we all need Kath shards, because she has the potential to be better than Talon, but not until she hits tier 4. We'll take a look at our handy STFC dot space. Officers. Kath. Her rank 3 tier, Lieutenant 3, 18%. Talon is 20%, so it's not until she gets to rank 4 here she gets to 21% and becomes slightly better. If you look at the shards required to get her there, there's some pretty significant shards. Most people unlocked her in the Battle Pass this month through the events. You got her unlocked, and depending on how your Dabo pulls were, you're somewhere near this requirement. I think I'm about halfway here. So still have a 20 or so shards to 25 shards or whatever to go there to get her up to tier 3 where she's 18%, and still not quite as good as Talon. Her stats are a little better, which help the ship a little bit more, but in terms of the damage reduction, Talon is still better at tier 3. So then you need another big chunk of shards to upgrade her even further. So how are we going to get these shards? And what's very likely to happen is that we're going to see him more of these ultra recruit packs. I don't know when it'll be. I would guess they'll probably rotate through some other stuff first. Like we'll probably do a next generation one, then we'll probably do maybe a Borg one, or probably at least a duality one to bring back Gowron and Martok and Bael and Lursa and Baitor and those off, or maybe there'll be a separate one. Maybe it'll just be Gowron and Martok and Bael along with Sela and Tomalak, and then they'll do one later with Lursa and Bator and maybe a couple other people in that one, and then we'll get to the Ferengi one, 4 or 5 months from now, and it'll be like, okay, well, let me try and cash in some of these Ultra Recruit tokens and see what I can get. But the faction credits always come in handy too, especially Federation credits. There's so many Federation officers to promote. That's why if you're trying to push, if you're in your mid to high 30s and you're starting to push and think about what ship you want to get when you get to your 40s, and which factions you should start grinding for, I'm just going to tell you right now, even though Federation is the easiest because of Taiga Core, my recommendation is not to pick Federation. There's too many officers that need Federation credits, and they just keep adding more and more into the game. And they're going to keep adding more and more to the game because that's where the game is based, right? It's very Federation heavy. We're going to get lower decks characters. We're going to get Deep Space Nine characters. We're going to get Voyager characters and strange new worlds, and maybe we'll get original movie versions of people, and we'll get all kinds of, you know, guys like that. Then we'll get some more mirror universe characters when Deep Space Nine comes out. And those guys require independent credits, but yeah, it's a lot more doing FedROM to first lock, planning on swapping to Klingon after. Yeah, triple lock with all of them. Hit your 10 million with all three of them. 100% do that. But then as you get, and then I've always been a proponent of, whatever, you know, direction the game is trying to take you for your first epic ship at 34. From opening your G3 epic recruit boxes and rare recruit boxes, it'll start giving you ship blueprints. Kind of don't cash in your faction credits toward any of those or your away team credits yet. See which one you get to like 50 or 75 shards for first from doing things like that, and then kind of let the game steer you. Eventually, you'll end up with all of them because you'll just keep getting so many blueprints. Hopefully, if you're running armadas regularly and consistently, with the amount of events that they run that are armada based, that should be achievable for you. But then as you start to get closer to 40, and everybody's like, all right, well, now which way do I go? I'm tri-locked. I've locked all three factions at 10 million. Stay there for a few levels. Let's really soak up all the repairs. You do your daily. I finished all my dailies. But you do your daily faction events, and they give you lots of repair speed-ups. The 30-minute speed-ups. Just stockpile those from like 34 to like 37, 38. Ooh, scout. I almost missed him. So yeah, so you stockpile those from like 37 to 38, and then when you're thinking, all right, now I'm going to start pushing toward 40, and now I got to start thinking about what ship I'm going to want to get, because to get the 42 ships, you have to get at least like 100 million. I think it's 110 million um, to move from respected through celebrated, through admired, through esteemed, to get to commended when you can then unlock. Yeah, it's commended, which starts at 110 million, and this is where you can unlock your ship blueprints. And if you're figuring out which direction to go there, I would recommend not picking Federation for as the reason I mentioned with the spending the faction credits on the officers. The other thing too is, the Kelvin's good. It's a good ship. They're all good ships, um, but it is an interceptor, and I think people universally agree that the best 46 ship is the Pilum because of the firing pattern, which is also an interceptor. So if you don't want to go interceptor interceptor and waste all your interceptor parts and your gas and your crystal, then you'd want to have one of the two other ships at 42. Whether it's you could go the Valdor and just go straight Romulan, but then you're using up a lot of your Romulan credits on Valdor blueprints, depending on how fast you're going to level. Because I mean, if you're just like sort of free to play from 42 to 46, it's going to take you 8 to 12 months, depending on how you prioritize your spending. At which time you'll have plenty of time to rebuild if you just keep doing your missions and your exchanges and your Borg refinery. You'll have enough time maybe to rebuild your credits. Um, but if you don't, and you're worried about don't want to double up here, then Klingon at 42 makes the most sense to get the Katinga at 42 and then get the Pilum at 46. They don't have the easy rep grinding that Taiga Core offers for the Federation, but there are still good ways to farm that reputation. The other thing, of course, I will recommend a little bit as well. The level 49 traders in the capital systems do drop these blueprints for the 42 ships. And occasionally, on rare occasions, they do drop the ones for the 46s. So I've been, for a while now, I've been doing my dailies, which require me, as I've progressed in my Romulan rep, 47s, and now I'm up to 48s here in Glorified. Much like the other ones, there's a midway point where it changes. So it was like at Glorified, it was kill 47s, and then halfway through, it switched to 48s. And I'm sure when I hit Champion, it'll flip to 49s. Trying to find those out in deep space is pretty challenging. So that's why you'll have to go most likely to the capital systems. And by killing the regular capital traders, well, both of them have the ability to drop them. But even in, your 38 to 40 range, with a decent sized G3 epic, if you have a maxed Chen, you really shouldn't have too much trouble killing a handful, maybe 4 or 5 per hull of the regular guys. And the reward chests that these guys drop sometimes do contain blueprints for the 42 uncommon ships. So you can sort of do the same thing. As you're sort of building up the rep that you need, you can pick up a few extra blueprints along the way. Champion is 49 and then 50s. Yeah, I figured it would split halfway. But thank you, Shin. Yeah, not too much further to go. What I got, 50 million? 53 million to get there. But just from doing my dailies and having to kill 25 48s every day, or 47s as it was earlier, I picked up 41 Katinga blueprints already, so I'm like a third of the way towards the Katinga, and I got 7 Coronar. These are just basically for free that I've gotten. Haven't had to use any away team credits, haven't had to use any faction credits yet. And so if you start doing that at 38, 39, that might also help you a little bit. I know it's a little counterintuitive because then you're killing the one Uh, if you started a little earlier before you start making your big rep push and you just want to try and farm those for a little bit, you might be able to pick up a few blueprints and just sort of see that what direction that's going to take you. Not the most efficient way to do it. Um, Certainly going to hurt your rep along the way. But if you're tri-locked and we have events every once in a while that require you to kill them. Um, it's an option for you. Oh, the kill 10 is 49s and the kill 25 becomes 50s when you hit first hit champion. Okay. There's no split between champion and distinguished since distinguished is 1.1 billion. Ah, gotcha. So it's not as big of a gap. 1 billion it does lock out at. So that's what I'm looking forward to here is just finishing up Romulan rep. It will lock out at a billion, and then I can circle back and start working on the other ones to try and get them leveled up as well. I keep forgetting to look at that board, so thank you, Shin, for pointing that out there. I know all those resources are available. And how many more of these guys do we have left to kill? Can't be too many. Did I already finish it and I'm just not even paying attention? Or am I at like one or two short? All right, so I need 63 more points, so that's like 4 or 5 more kills. Well, that'll be a good thing then that I'm not trying to push any further, because trying to get to 50s is a little bit challenging. You basically have to load up some officers like Grush onto your G4 ship and then move your base out to one of these hub systems out here to a 49 system to then find 49s and 50s. Not the easiest thing to do for a consistent basis to keep moving your base all the way out there. So it'll be good that I'm taking a break from working on Romulan dailies. Okay, that's going to finish it up. We'll happily take the extra 44 or some officer XP. That's the other thing too. Officer XP, never have enough of that, right? Especially as some of these officers get to their final tiers and they start needing 2 and 3 million experience points per level. Ultra recruit tokens and faction credits are always good too. We are done killing Federation guys, so let's get the heck out of here. And I will happily take home a whole bunch of these broken Explorer parts. And let's see what we got here. Probably going to get a couple Saladin blueprints. Well, I got 185 Fed messages. I got a Centurion blueprint. Must have been left over from when I was doing the killing Romulans portion of it. But you can get blueprints for the 28s ships if you ever want to build an extra Centurion or Saladin or whatever. Can't get Mayflower or those lower level ones, the 26s that way, but you can get the 28s from killing really anything like 34, 35 and up. Of course, by that time, usually that's the ship you're using is like a Saladin, and then you're like, oh, I'm getting more Saladin blueprints. But was that enough? Oops. Yes, that was. Federation message exchange, I needed 1,000. There's an extra 630 Romulan credits. But it'll be a while before I get to 46. That's for sure. So we did Crucible. Those rewards are still up. If you haven't cashed them in yet, I think today's you have another few hours to still cash them in. This is only if you bought the silver pack to help boost your alliance score, which is not really a worthwhile investment. The gold trophy pack's not bad because it does have ship XP and rare Armada credits in it. These are pretty much the same payouts. So independent credits, relocation token. You basically get one out of each category. So you'll get one out of independent credits, one relocation token, one ship XP, and one form of Armada directives. I got 50 in my chest, which costs 900 of these gold trophies. So I'm going to save my other 300. So that way, if I save the extra ones, I got 1200. I spent 900. So every 3 months, I'll possibly get a double pull on the gold trophy utility pack. If I pull it right at the beginning of the event, and then I should have enough time to pull it again before the event ends. Try and double up there. The gold trophy recruits for the officers. This is basically what's in the premium officer pack. And again, most of these officers I already have, so they would just be converted to transporter patterns. If there's, and it's also weighted pretty heavily toward uncommon officers. So if you're a lower level player and there's still guys down here you need, especially a chance at Chen shards, is not a bad way to spend a few of these. If you're like, in your teens or your 20s ops levels, this might be a good thing to convert on, because I'm sure a lot of these officers you won't have yet. Trying to pick up some extra shards along the way. But this pack here is basically the same as the premium recruit pack, minus a few people. It's what the premium recruit pack was before they added a few more officers to it, when they bumped up and added in these two Borg officers and Mud and Eurydice, and maybe one or two others. Maybe one or two of the other Borg officers got added in. Maybe all the Borg officers got added in. Maybe that's what it was. But for the most part, it's a lot of the same people over and over again. So it's really just this pack, which you already get a decent amount of. And I'm always a fan of using limited resources, we'll call it, to get things that are harder to get. Unless there's a real urgent need. You would save these for the things that are harder to get instead of these guys, which are easily accessible a variety of other ways. Did I do my boxes this morning? This one's done. Yes, I did these this morning. Okay. These I did. These I did. And I did my away team, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's just double check here before our away team missions reset, which they do in about 12 minutes. Is there anything that I want to... Let's speed up one or two of these. That's an hour. Let's speed that up. I always like trying to speed up one or two of the ones that are going to end just after it to ending just before the reset. Because that way, if I don't like what is replaced, if Address the High Council comes up again, and I'm like, well, I already have one or two of them, like, or another event comes up, an away team that I just don't really like Scientific Breakthrough or something that's not really giving me anything that I need, then I'll get the free refresh right after it. Come on, critical. Come on, critical. Critical, critical. Ah. Yeah, I'll take 500,000 nanoprobes, though. So, I don't speed things up too far. These are still a day away. This is still 12 hours away. But if it's like 1 or 2 hours, I'll speed up a couple of them. This one wasn't. This was just for hoo-has. So then what did it replace it with? Form trade agreement and armed escort. And this is just really more of a generic uncommon that just gives the rare charts and the service awards. This one I'm actually okay with because it's a generic one, letting it re-roll. Form trade agreement's not a bad one. This is Eurydice. She's the one with 2 of the abilities. Troy's the only one with empathic, and it's her 3rd tier one. Not really all that great. Handful of officers with charismatic. You can do Riker for charming and charismatic. You can do Eurydice, who's probably the better one to spend away team points on, or away team or trait XP. She gets charismatic and traitor. Riker you may need for armadas. He's a good alternate armada crew. And like I said, empathic is only Troy right now, so you're really just dealing off these 3 traits. It does pay out a big chunk of Latinum, although now with the Devore and the Devore Ficia, Latinum's a little easier to come by, so it's not necessarily an urgent need to spend trait XP on those officers. Sit there and watch that for 2 minutes. Where are we at here? Yeah, we still got a ways to go. Oof, that didn't load right. Let's try that again. Hey, there we go. Alright, so we got 250 a day, 10, 20, 22 days, so 3 weeks away from getting this one done. But when I do, I get 50 Grush shards, which should be enough to actually tier him up when I hit that. More defense platform damage, more protected cargo, good. Scrapping speed, okay. That always comes in handy because you can't speed up scrapping for some reason. It's the only thing you can't speed up in this game. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. I'm sure it's to control the, resource economy, to keep people from just buying their way through ships and then scrapping them and getting upgraded resources, that they slow everybody down and control the pace of the game that way. That's probably also why the G5 economy people have been complaining about. I heard somebody on DJ's podcast last night was really complaining about the G5 economy for the 50 plus players really isn't that great, and it takes forever to do anything. It's slow. I'm almost positive it's slow on purpose because they don't want you pushing through and getting to 58, 59, and 60 too quickly. They kind of want you to have to slowly and gradually progress, or spend a crap ton of money to buy your way through the 50s, much like a lot of people did through their 40s. But probably speed this one up now. 3 seconds. All right, let's see if we get something decent this time around. Yep. Just take our away team credits. Research and development. This is a good one for faction credits for Fed faction. This would be Carol. She's got focused physicist and scientist. She is by far the best officer for this one. And then it builds off of defense. We know charismatic we looked at before. But we'll just throw some defense in here. Who's free? Vemit is free. And we'll use Mirek as well. So 45% chance of getting almost 1,600 Federation credits for a one-day event, thanks to Carol. There's a number of... Carol is an excellent officer for 2 reasons to spend away team traits on. Scientist comes up a lot. Physicist comes up a handful of times. Focus comes up on one or two of them. Um, and she's also an officer that you're not likely to want, at least not on the bridge of a ship. Below deck, she's pretty good. But if we're about to get some new below deck officers, you get a little more flexibility there, and you might not necessarily need someone like her there, and you can afford to send her out on away teams more often. Carol's a very good officer to invest trait XP in. I'm trying to think what else I want to talk about tonight. I don't know. Oh, I do have to do this one real quick. All right, so we got to do some ship XP. What do we need? We need 82,000. But again, it's good ultra recruit tokens. It's also paying out about 900 or so latinum. So if I have to use latinum in place of ship XP, what do we got? Hey, there's Aphesia. That's 100,000. Yeah, we can go ahead and upgrade that. Oh, I have 100,000. What do you know? Yeah, I'm overshooting a little bit there, but that's okay. I could do... I'm going to hold off on this. I don't know. I don't know what they got up their sleeve for the next couple days. So I'm going to hold off on upgrading any components for a little bit, because I don't want to necessarily get caught by surprise like we did last time with that drop-in amalgam upgrade event. So even if I had to cash in some latinum to do it, it'd still be worth it because I'd probably get most of it back, and then all this would be free. But hey, here's another 1,300 ultra recruit tokens. Just pumping that up even more. Let's go ahead. Let's open a couple of these. I'm pretty close to upgrading Uhura, which is kind of why I want to do this. And any extra wharf shards I get would just be a bonus. So let's do a 3-pack. So we got one Uhura and one wharf in the first one. And I picked up a couple extra wharfs along the way. 3 Crass, Chekhov's getting closer, Sulu's getting closer, but I don't really use those officers very often. Chekhov's not bad for territory takeover, parking him if he's in like a sarcophagus, because he subtracts from their damage, making it even harder to hurt you. That's not bad. I got only one Uhura though. It's a little disappointing. I was hoping to get a few more. I know what I'll do. I'll just keep opening more of them. It's like, I think I'm good. Thank you. I think I'm good. How am I doing on transporter patterns? 33,000. Okay, so I can get 30 mud shards. Still a ways off of Harry Sr. here. That's probably what I forgot to do today. Was to do my rogue outlaw. Yep, I did. Yep, just transporter patterns. Oh, I will need Stella credits. Okay. We'll take this crew. And we'll go get some Stellas. They were killing event hostiles for missions. What do I need? I still need a bunch of that. Okay. I'll put Khan back in there where he belongs. go kill some exchange guys. So I do have the enhanced Stella cargo capacity. Only reason I have this is because there was enough left over after the uh, ship repair research. So the new ship repair research that they added, these are in the, I think the ship repair's in the station tree. So we had prime repair costs, which was the original one, and then they added out here prime ship repairs, which lowered it, 100% to base cost efficiency for repairing ships, which effectively lowered my repair bill about 25% on my existing ships. So not a lot on my G3 epics. Like my auger only costs about 500,000 titanium to repair. Now it's down to about 400,000 for a tier 8 auger. But a tier 4 Kelvin was costing me about 45 million titanium, and now that's down to about 32 I think is what it cost me now. So a pretty big reduction. And then included in that pack, there, because I do have research, gas efficiencies and stuff done, there was enough gas to also do prime Stella cargo left over. You do have to have your efficiencies up a little bit in order to have enough left over, because they give you like 1,000. And if your efficiencies are pretty well done on your gas research, you can do both for one price. So that's why I have the Stella one. I didn't spend the $50 just to make my Stella have bigger cargo. It was sort of a 2-for-1 deal. All right. Take a quick opportunity again just to remind you guys, make sure you're following the channel on both Twitch and YouTube. Tell your friends if you like the content. Hopefully you do. You do also have the option to subscribe on Twitch, because I am an affiliate now. That's why you're also seeing some of those ads. Sorry, I don't even get paid for them really. I get like 3 cents for all those advertisements, but hopefully they're not too often. Maybe only once or twice throughout the show. But you can subscribe to the channel to avoid seeing those. You do get, if you have Amazon Prime, you do get 1 free subscription per month. You just have to link your accounts together, especially since Amazon owns Twitch. So it's a pretty straightforward process, pretty easy to do. And then you get to give a subscription to your favorite streamer every month for free. It doesn't have to be me. You can use it on whoever you want. You can use it on those chicks who are licking the ears doing the ASMR videos. You can use it on people playing your favorite game. People doing chicken dances, whoever you want to use it on. Knock yourself out. But just make sure you use it, because, it's free to you. Alright, we'll take this opportunity to stock up on some Stella codes. I should definitely get enough for at least a full pull tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have enough extra left over. That'll be another day, so I don't have to come out here again. And then if we have Apex over the weekend, well, then I'll have to be back here killing these guys anyway for the milestones for that, so that'll carry me through for another couple of days. 5 of 11 is definitely a great officer to use to make this as fast as possible. If you don't have him yet, he's certainly an officer that when you do unlock him, it will change things significantly for you, Because first off, he adds extra mitigation, which he then gets synergy from other Borg officers. He adds it to shield deflection, armor, and dodge, so he's adding it to all three. Really helps your overall mitigation. And then his officer ability also increases the amount of resources dropped from hostiles. So you get big chunks more resources. You have to kill less things to fill up your cargo hold. I've been told he also works on reputation. If you want to try him and another Borg officer and, Talon or Chen and work on your rep grinding that way, that he also helps with that. I don't know if that still works. I've seen it in older videos. I don't know if that still works or that's something that they've fixed, since then, because they have done a number of updates to the game. Certainly not the most efficient. Picard, Beverly, or Pike, Moreau is certainly better for your long-term grinding because of just how much less damage you take. But if you have trouble sourcing those officers and somehow you got a lucky pull of 5 maybe before you have Pike, and since Picard really isn't easily sourced in the game, that might be a ship combination for you to try. But otherwise, I think that's going to be about it for tonight's stream. I appreciate you guys hanging out, talking some Star Trek with me. Hopefully, the great Tribble hunt tomorrow is is worth the effort, and we get at least a decent event store out of it that has some useful rewards. They don't have to be earth shattering, right? It's April Fools. It's a fun little silly throwaway event. But if it's got a few officer shards or some resource bundles or something you can pick up from it, certainly could be worth the effort. And then we'll be back on Sunday afternoon. Hopefully, I'll be in a good mood. If Duke wins Saturday night, I'll be in a good mood Sunday afternoon. If they lose and get knocked out, well, I might be a little grumpy, but we'll see how that goes. And we'll kill some swarms, and we'll see what other arc we've got going on through the weekend to tie us over until Tuesday. Maybe we'll pick up some more hints along the way that'll kind of let us know what direction we're going. But you guys have a great night, and I will see you around the galaxy.